Canada accepted almost 1 million new citizens from 2021 to 2023. This is because the country is often seen as a top destination for immigration, especially for people from developing countries seeking a better quality of life. With its vast size as the second largest country in the world and a population of only 40.8 million in 2023, there seems to be plenty of space to accommodate more immigrants. However, the reality is that Canada is facing a population trap, a housing crisis, lesser per capita income, and much more. So let's find out, is Canada really the go-to place for a better quality of life? And what is the root cause of Canada's immigration problems? Canada has a population of 40.8 million as of 2023, which is around the same as California. But here is the catch. Canada is about 25 times bigger than California in terms of land area. Considering these stats, it would not be surprising that Canada wants to raise the number of immigrants entering the country to increase its population. That is why Canada has almost doubled the number of immigrants arriving after COVID-19 in hopes to recover and grow its economy. From 2022 to 2023, 468,000 immigrants entered Canada, as compared to 226,000 in 2020 to 2021. Immigration brings several benefits for Canada, one of them being skilled labor force. Immigrants possess high levels of education and are usually skilled in a specific area. They fill specific gaps in the labor market, thereby fostering innovation and diversity in workplaces. Also, immigrants possess the essential abilities to assimilate and adjust to the Canadian job market swiftly. Consequently, the growth of Canada's workforce is almost entirely due to immigration. Around 75% of Canada's population increase is a result of immigration. The different categories through which immigrants come to Canada include economic, family, refugees, and protected persons, as well as humanitarian. However, most immigrants arrive through the economic category under the Federal Skilled Worker Program, Federal Skilled Trades Program, Startup Visa Program, and the Self-Employed Persons Program, as these are the workforce that Canada is interested in. Canada plans to increase the number of people in the economic categories in the upcoming years. By 2025, Canada aims to bring in 301,000 immigrants under the economic category out of the target 500,000 immigrants. These immigrants work in various economic fields in Canada. For example, in May 2021, more than 36% of individuals were employed in accommodation and food services, close to 38% of those working in transportation and warehousing, and over 34% of those employed in professional, scientific, and technical services, as well as more than 20% of individuals working in construction. Another benefit is a continuous influx of young workers. Canada's economic strength is partially gauged by the size of its working population and its contributions to public services, such as healthcare, through taxes. Immigration ensures that Canada's labor force expands annually and assists employers in finding skilled workers to fill job openings. Immigration is particularly helpful due to the fact that Canadians are living longer and having fewer children. In 2022, Canada's birth rate was 9 children per 1,000 people, a decrease from 11 children in 2016. The low birth rates resulted in a decrease in school-age students and an increasing number of retirees. The pool of Canadian-born workers, both current and potential, is limited. As a result, employers are currently facing difficulties in finding Canadian-born workers to fill positions, as over 60% of immigrants are chosen for their potential positive contribution to the Canadian economy. On the other hand, Canada also immigrates a heavy amount of students into the country. As a result, Canadian universities heavily rely on the higher tuition fees of international students, which are more than 5 times higher than those paid by domestic students at the undergraduate level. International students contribute over $21 billion annually to the economy through their spending and tuition. If these students decide to immigrate to Canada, they contribute to the country's economic success. In 2022, there were over 800,000 international students with a valid Canadian study permit, and over 58,000 former international students immigrated permanently. The number of Canadian study permit holders in 2022 has exceeded the previous high in 2019 by 27%, with the addition of immigrated students contributing to this increase. Due to all of these benefits, it can be safe to say that immigration makes a significant contribution to the economy of the country. To put things into perspective, immigration accounts for 98% of Canada's population growth and more than 90% of the increase in the workforce. Even a temporary decrease in immigration, such as in 2020 during the pandemic, led to significant shortages in labor, which could only be alleviated by new immigrants. Due to all of these benefits, Canada has increased its immigration rates over the years. In 2022, Canada offered permanent residency to over 437,000 individuals from countries like India, Afghanistan, Nigeria, etc. The number is higher than the goal of 431,645 new immigrants and represents the highest ever intake of Canadian permanent residents in a single year. In comparison, Canada welcomed more than 405,000 new immigrants in 2021, which set the previous record. In 2023, Canada was home to over 8 million permanent resident immigrants, constituting approximately 20% of the entire Canadian population. The current administration intends to progressively raise immigration numbers, aiming to welcome 500,000 new permanent residents annually by 2025. Even though most people immigrate to Canada for a better quality of life, moving there comes with its fair share of difficulties, both for the country and the migrant. One of these issues being a dense population, despite having a small population-to-area ratio. As a result, areas like Ontario has a population 15.7 million as of 2024, while Quebec has around 8.8 million people. On the other hand, there are less populated states in the country, such as Yukon, which only has a population of 45,750 in 2024. Due to this, Ontario has received the highest number of immigrants between July 1, 2022 and June 30, 2023, with 199,297 new immigrants in the state. Not only that, but Canada's urbanization levels are approximately 81%, as most Canadians favor residing in urban areas, where work and leisure opportunities are nearby, and living conditions are comparatively more comfortable. Canada's different regions also hold varying perspectives on immigration. When the government unveiled its ambitious goal of admitting up to 500,000 new immigrants annually, the province of Quebec, which has the authority to determine its own immigration quotas, declared that it would accept no more than 50,000 newcomers per year. Consequently, Quebec, with around 24% of the nation's population, would only receive 10% of the country's total immigrants. Similarly, the level of public support for immigration has also changed. Although it reached a peak in 2022, after 3 decades of increasing, last year, that support declined to a slim majority. While 51% of Canadians still favor immigration, 44% believe that immigration levels are excessive. One immediate consequence of a large influx of people arriving into a densely populated area is the substantial increase in demand for housing supply. According to a June report from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, an additional 3.5 million housing units will be needed by 2030 to achieve affordable housing for all Canadians. The housing shortage is coupled with unprecedented levels of immigration, causing concern for both Canadians and newcomers. Hence, affordability has become a major challenge in the housing crisis. The prices increased as the demands on the housing sector increased. Many properties in Canada were bought during a period of low interest rates, and there was an influx of people looking for opportunities in the country. Subsequently, the economy, including the construction of homes, was hindered by the rise in interest rates. As a result, in 2023, British Columbia and Ontario, two of the most densely populated provinces, had significantly higher house prices than any other province in Canada. The average house price in all other provinces was below 500,000 Canadian dollars, while in British Columbia and Ontario, it surpassed 800,000 Canadian dollars. Since many people cannot afford to buy their own home, there is an upward pressure on rental and sale prices, clearly indicating demand outpacing supply. As a result, rent prices have gone up, and the average rent in Canada has increased by 7.0% year over year to $2,156 for July 2024. That's not all, but immigration has caused lesser per capita income for Canada. The previous year experienced a drop in economic expansion and an almost unprecedented rise in population, attributable to both temporary and permanent immigration. This has drawn attention to recent trends in Canada's gross domestic product, GDP, per capita. In 5 of the last 6 quarters, real GDP per capita has declined, and it is currently close to the levels seen in 2017. The recent drop in per capita output has raised worries about Canada's poor productivity performance. The lower GDP per capita in Canada can be attributed to the surge in population, as indicated by economist Michael Scooterud. He compared a country's GDP to a pie that is divided among its population, with GDP per capita representing the portion of the pie allocated to each Canadian. With a rapidly increasing population, the total GDP expands, but the GDP per capita shrinks. Lower GDP per capita has a negative impact on living standards as it leads to reduced access to goods, services, and amenities. Declining GDP per capita can also impact wage growth. As the total economic production declines, it becomes difficult to maintain elevated salaries for employees. The recent decreases in output per person have also raised worries about Canada's poor productivity record, because historically, a large part of the long-term increase in GDP per person has resulted from consistent enhancements in labor productivity. Even though Canada has been gaining population and accepting many skilled workers, the migrants have been facing their own fair share of issues. Other than difficult housing, many skilled workers are leaving the country in order to get a better lifestyle. Between the years 2017 and 2019, the number of immigrants that were leaving Canada increased by 31% as compared to the national average. A study conducted by Statistics Canada found that over 15% of immigrants who came to Canada between 1982 and 2017 had departed the country within 20 years of arriving. Instead, tens of thousands of Canadians are leaving Canada to reside in the United States. Emigration, which involves leaving one's home country or place of residence with the intention of settling elsewhere, has reached a level not witnessed in over a decade. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the number of individuals relocating from Canada to the United States reached 126,340 in 2022, marking a surge of almost 70% compared to the 75,752 people who moved in 2012. Not only that, but temporary residents and recent immigrants are driving up Canada's unemployment rate. It is also harder for immigrants to find jobs in the country than it is for Canadian-born citizens. In 2023, about 5.8% of landed immigrants in the country were unemployed. On the other hand, around 5.1% of people born in Canada were unemployed in 2023. The unemployment rate has been increasing over time, reaching 6.4% in July 2024. These rates of unemployment are due to the population growth rather than job losses. The rate of immigration is increasing more quickly than the country's ability to generate jobs, resulting in higher unemployment for new immigrants and young adults vying for similar positions. Even though Canada is facing significant issues with immigration, it still plans to accept around 500,000 immigrants annually. And welcoming such a high number of immigrants comes with a lot of issues for Canada, as explained before, such as the housing crisis and higher rates of unemployment. Many would think that Canada could ease its issues by decreasing its number of immigrants entering the country, but that is not the case. If Canada continues to accept a large number of immigrants without raising per capita productivity, it could lead to a situation where the primary impact of immigration at a macroeconomic level would result in a higher cost of living rather than economic growth, as Canada hopes. However, on the other hand, if Canada tries to stop the influx of new immigrants, the country might confront a significant shortage of skilled workers and face immediate challenges with businesses that were established in anticipation of population growth and readily available skilled labor. Such abrupt changes would be particularly detrimental in Canada, a country with one of the highest levels of household debt. Canadian households have a higher debt load compared to households in any other G7 country, and the total amount they owe now exceeds the value of the entire Canadian economy. The household debts are so high primarily due to individuals borrowing to afford some of the most expensive homes in the world. If the influx of new immigrants to the country was suddenly stopped in an abrupt way, people would be in serious financial trouble. On the other hand, the reduction of Canada's capital stock per person by nearly 1.5% in 2023 indicates that the Canadian population is expanding so quickly that Ottawa lacks sufficient savings to balance its capital-labor ratio and generate an improvement in GDP per person. The given conditions point to a population trap, which is often observed in emerging markets. This occurs when the population growth outpaces the infrastructure's ability to support it. The population trap itself could have multiple other effects on the Canadian economy, one of them being increased pressure on the healthcare system. As the elderly population grows, the need for healthcare services and long-term care also increases, leading to elevated expenses for both the public and private healthcare systems. The trap could also lead to a situation where the increasing number of elderly individuals compared to those of working age raises the dependency ratio. This in turn indicates that a smaller percentage of the population is providing support for a larger percentage of individuals who are not in the workforce. Not only that, but cutting down on the number of employees and increasing healthcare and retirement expenses can result in decreased economic expansion, impacting the overall financial stability of the nation. Before we get into the last part of the video, make sure to check out the link in the description for my best recommendation when it comes to further expanding our knowledge on a more personal scale. So, how can Canada get out of this population trap? According to experts, in order to enhance its productivity, Canada needs to establish population objectives taking into account the limitations of its capital stock. They suggest that Canadian policymakers should set population targets in consideration of Canada's capital stock, which encompasses more than just the housing supply. Attracting skilled employees is also crucial for addressing shortages in the job market and enhancing the economy. Canada has the opportunity to enhance its immigration regulations in order to simplify the arrival and assimilation of immigrants, guaranteeing their efficient contribution to society. All in all, Canada's immigration problem and population trap present complex challenges for the country. As Canada grapples with the societal and economic impacts of immigration, it is crucial to adopt policies that strike a balance between increasing its diversity and ensuring that the well-being of both newcomers and existing citizens is taken into account. That is all we have for today. If you liked this video, make sure to give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications. And if you want to continue exploring the different economic landscapes in the world, you might be interested in this video on the screen. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.